Yes, I'm there.
Yeah. So I think you can start the ball rolling, sir.
Okay. So are you starting or I have to start?
Yeah, you can start. So I already welcomed everybody. Again, I would like to welcome people. People are there. People are coming. Even now, people are coming. So I'll be admitting them.
Okay.
So meanwhile, again, I once again welcome all of you who are here present. Now, Sri V.N. Gaud Saab, who is retired, uh, who is a retired IAS officer. He was the chief executive officer of FSSAI. Now, Dr. Surendra Gangapta, who is a veteran food scientist and IAS officer, of course, he was also a part and parcel of, not part and parcel, I should say, a pillar of FSSAI in the beginning. So he has also joined us. So I would like to hand over the webinar to Mr. Virendra Gaur, who will open the webinar. Sir.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Madhavan. I welcome all the participants, Dr. Gopta and other, yes. So once again, I welcome all of you to this webinar. And are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Everybody is able to hear, no?
Yes.
Sir, Gangadhar sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can hear, sir.
I would like to hear something from Gangadhar sir.
Hello. Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, but your audio is very
I
feeble,
welcome
sir.
all of you. I welcome you. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay. It's
Now
okay.
it's okay. Yeah.
It's
Is it
okay.
okay?
It's okay. Yes. Yes, sir. Gaud sir, please carry on.
Okay. So as
Okay, sir. We can hear.
as all of us are aware, we are passing through a very difficult times, and this kind of virus probably is unprecedented in the human history, and more importantly and more surprisingly, uh, the human race seems to be totally helpless in this situation. The virus which has come, we have no remedy for that. We all had a false belief that because of the advancement in science and technology and and our knowledge, we have more or less conquered the nature, and we are all capable. We can create a copy of the human being in the lab. We can tinker with genes. We can do anything which we want. But this virus has brought some sense of reality in our mind. And we know that the most powerful nations who were in the forefront and the frontier areas of technology, they are the one, who have borne the brunt as of now. We don't know about other countries, what is their future and how it is going to manifest in future. The only weapon which we have right now is that we keep ourselves away. And as Dr. Madhav was saying, that we don't invite the virus to ourselves. But at the same time, the only method which, as we are talking about social distancing and all, this is the method which we have followed over the millennia. Whatever contagious diseases in the past have come, the human beings have been dealing with by following the same method. If somebody was sick in the village in olden times, either the man was sent outside the village or the entire village had abandoned him and left the village. So that was the method which we again are following. Only difference is that now, because of our communication and transport technology, we are confining ourselves to homes and wherever we are. And because of better organized society, we are able to get our needs fulfilled at our locations. Now, that is where the new questions and new dimensions arise. especially when we talk of food. When we are getting food items, either in raw form or processed form, when it is delivered to us or we pick it up, how we handle it, how we again keep ourselves safe. Because another difference with, I mean, as we know that we have a standard protocol for food safety management systems exist everywhere, and we know how to keep our food safe. But at the same time, the protocols which we follow, and we are guarding against the kind of bacteria and viruses, are the ones which cause problems when we consume them. Now, here is something, some virus, which is not causing harm when we are consuming, because that stage is separate. Thing is that it can damage us even before we have consumed it. So all other protocols where we how much we heat the food, how we keep it safe, how we put in the fridge and this and that, those things are I mean, we are all aware that how to what are the protocols to follow. But a new set of procedures, a new set of do's and don'ts have to be followed in respect of this virus, because it does damage just even by touching. It does damage even, I mean, there's a little dispute whether in the aerosol it can exist and it can cause damage. But the thing is that this is some area which needs a lot of brainstorming, and I am very happy that CQFS has this has been I mean, it has been able to organize this webinar, and I find that those who are participating in this webinar, they themselves are quite very knowledgeable people and scholars. So I am sure at the end of the deliberations, we will not only gain what is going to be said by the experts in this. I mean, those laypersons like us will be able to pick up, but at the same time, those who are in the field of implementation, they are supervising the food safety systems in their respective organizations, and they will also be able to contribute and evolve in some kind of a consensus method, which is to be followed by all the food handlers, food manufacturers, and everybody in the industry. So with these words, I wish you a very successful, deliberations in the next few minutes and or an hour. Thank you, Dr. Madhavan. So we can take up the next topic in this.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your enlightening speech. It was really good, and I hope everybody's ready now. Now, I can invite our technical expert, Dr. Ghangrokta, who is a food scientist by himself and an IAS officer. He was director FSSAI, controlling the whole enforcement. I would like to invite Dr. Ghangrokta to speak. Hello.
Thank you very much, Madman ji. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Actually, thank you very much for organizing this seminar also, and we could meet a lot of people and discuss this issue with others. And thanks a lot, God Saab. We were fortunate to work under him when FSSAI started functioning, and this rules were rolled out and 6 main regulations. And in August 2011, functioning was started. Then God Saab was the CEO, and we worked under him, and we really learned a lot during that tenure. All of us know a lot about COVID also by this time. A lot of information is flowing through WhatsApp and other sources as well, and we are trying to update ourselves in this regard. And this is this COVID has brought one thing into focus, is that the food technologist, food professional, and the farmers, they are the ultimate people on whom we have to rely for our life. That is, I'll say, blessing in disguise. And secondly, this gives an opportunity to us to focus on safety of the food. Viruses have been known for long. Plant viruses have been there. Other animal viruses were there also. But the way they are developing, I'm hopeful that our research will be quickened by this process, that this whatever danger has come, so that we are able to find some permanent solutions regarding different viruses and its variations. I have a small PowerPoint presentation as well, which I will put on this, and so we discussing basically food safety during these days. Uh, COVID is going to take, no, it's not going to go away so early. It's going to take a lot of time, minimum one year. So we have to follow certain protocols, certain precautions, and like we have there are ministries, whether it's the health and family welfare and other ministries also, they are taking a lot of coming out with do and don'ts, and our health ministry, FSSAI, they are also coming out with do and don'ts, which we are more or less aware that what we how to sneeze if we are sneezing, how to wash our hands, and what are other precautions which we should be following. One question has been being asked regularly, that can coronavirus spread through food? You know, as on today, till date, we don't have any evidence that coronavirus can spread through food as well. So it's not a food-based virus, and only it spreads through person to person. There are, like God Sahab mentioned, he's given a brief about the whole scenario, the whole epidemic, through individual droplets, which are either suspended in air or on surface or through coughs, sneezes. So it can stay for, actually research is not there at the moment. We don't have full information, but what we assume that what we have learned by this time is that it can live for weeks on surfaces sometimes, and it can survive freezing, heating also. But all kind of microbes, they on a high temperature, they don't survive. We all know this. And then sometimes it doesn't survive at some surfaces, not more than few hours also. So research is still going on, and we have come out very well, whether it's the WHO or FSSAI, Health Ministry, that washing of hands and surfaces regularly takes care of everything. There was a question somewhere raised by people that what about the fresh vegetables? What should we do about fresh vegetables when we bring it from mandi or from, there are different kind of suggestions that we should use this or that. You know, washing these vegetables is good enough, and that is the ultimate. You wash it, rinse it through fresh water, that is good enough, running water basically. And because that, like I mentioned earlier, there is no evidence that it is being spreading through food. It's not foodborne. So even if it is there on the surface, it is washed out. But washing your hands and for 20 minutes, we all know that, then rinse and dry, and that is our main protocol. And then safe food handling, FSSAI already has this, that clean, separate, cook. And these kind of precautions we have to keep in mind always. Whether we are cooking or handling food during COVID or non-COVID as well. But for COVID-19, if you go through the literature, whether it's by FSSAI has come out with 10-page guidelines yesterday even. They had some guidelines earlier on COVID-19, but now they came out detailed guidelines. Because you see FDA guideline, you see WHO guidelines. But you know, ultimately, the summary is whether we are food business operator or we are doing it at home or anywhere else. If we are handling food and preparing it, then we have to take care that our first step is risk assessment, where the risk lies. So we have different tools. We sometimes gets carried away with the big name FSMS, HACCP, Schedule 4, GMP, GHP. These all our actions, whether we are following some manufacturing guidelines or hygienic guidelines, or there is a HACCP principle or FSMS principle. Basically, FSMS is all based on HACCP. We have to identify critical points. So it's typical to my business, or whether I'm running any establishment dealing in food or non-food, or I'm cooking food at home. There are certain points, critical points I have to identify. That has to be done separately for different kind of businesses. So that kind of questionnaire I have to make for my own organization. Which are the points where there are chances of coming of the infection through COVID or other infections as well. So other contamination, different type of contaminations are there, whether it's microbial, chemical, or physical. So that assessment I have to make, that questionnaire I have to prepare, that this is my situation, and according to that situation, I have to take certain action. In case we are running food business, or we are food business operators, we are running food business or some establishment, first thing to my mind comes that we need to train, create awareness about COVID, and what is it and how it spreads and how to avoid them. That we have to have a hygienic environment. How, when I've identified certain critical points, the second step comes that how do I plan to take care of these points? So there are prerequisite programs. We can follow any kind of system when we know that we have to follow the sanitation, the hygienic practices. Then we have to plan for that. And according to that plan, we have to train our people. This is our plan. And then everybody must know in the establishment or in the house that this is our plan. This is the way we will go ahead. Like if we are handling any retail business, or we are handling any, we are receiving fresh things at home also. Somebody is coming and delivering, or I am coming from outside. So then there is a protocol that if I bring something from outside, then I have contacted a lot of people, or even a delivery boy comes, he's contacted a lot of people. Then if I enter the house, how do I enter the house? And the clothes are the one area where I can have infection. And even if I'm washing hands or I have a mask, I'm wearing that also. I'm taking all precautions. So still there are certain areas where I have to take care. So how do I do that? So that has to be planned for us. Then promote effective personal hygiene, whether it's at home, it's outside, whenever we are meeting people. We have seen the protocol. If we go to the shops, then there is we keep minimum distance, and then the person is taking money or handing over things. And there are, we sanitize our hands, we sanitize that. And even somebody is using gloves, and there are personal protection equipment, like in factory we have to use mask or gloves, or because all these things are with the assumption that anybody I am meeting, interacting may have. He may be a carrier. He may be a not showing the symptoms. Sometimes may not person may not show symptoms for 10 days. Then subsequently we realize that was he was having this virus, and then or maybe on surfaces also. Anywhere it can happen. So we cannot take risk. That precaution, that assumption we have to take, that whatever I am touching that may contain virus, so I don't have to take my hand to the mouth or nose. Like I mentioned that there is always a question that is it washing of fruits and vegetables will be okay? Yes. In case we are cooking, then there is no problem at all. But in case we are not cooking or even handling those vegetables, so we can still spread. So I have to take care at every step. How do I wash my hands? How do I stop the spreading of the disease or virus? Then fourth step comes effective cleaning, sanitation, disinfection. There is some difference between sanitation, disinfection. They are more or less same, 99% or 100%. But every surface has to be cleaned, sanitized, disinfected. That care has to be. There are a lot of disinfectant, and some of them I will be showing later in my slide, but they are irrelevant because normally we don't make, and because we are not able to make it the exact proportion, like they say 60-70% of alcohol based sanitizers are good enough for us, but sometimes others are not there. They are not effective. So in case we have any kind of sanitary sanitizer or even soap getting from, they are all equally effective. Take from the market or from anywhere. And there is if you want to see, there are methods given. Even FDA has given how to prepare sanitizer at home, or how to prepare disinfectant yourself. Basically they avoid, because standard processes are there, and then you know how much effective they are. It's written on, everything is written there. Then there are good hygienic practices, like I mentioned. Whatever protocol you follow, you have to ensure that whichever point you are touching, you should be following a certain process. Cleaning and sanitation, zoning of processing area. Because we have to follow a social distancing. So how do you zone? Do you separate people in the same hall and then allow them entry at different point of time, and then how to sanitize the area also, whether you have to do the physical sanitation, cleaning, or by spray? That kind of decisions you have to take. Suppliers control, I mentioned.
मैं एक बार आपको चेक करके बताता हूँ, अभी थोड़े सब होल्ड पे हैं बिकॉज़ इस फर्दर एक्सटेंड हो गया है, तो मैं एक बार आपको करके बताता हूँ, चेक करके बताता हूँ, ठीक है?
इसको माधवन जी, you can put everybody on silent. I think control must be with you. Silent पे डाल सकते हैं, और mute पे. Then storage, distribution, transport. These are the main areas. We have protocol written by, even FSSAI has come with the protocol for this, based on FDA guideline and WHO guideline. These guidelines are basically the cruxes that you have to follow: social distancing, the hygienic practices, washing, cleaning, and sanitization. That's all. And then social distances and site, wherever your establishment is, production area, there are common area where a lot of people come. So how do you maintain that? That system has to be prepared. If someone develops symptoms, this is very important. So if the moment you come to know that there are some symptoms, then you have to quarantine everyone who's come in touch with the person. That is very sometimes difficult, and sometimes we try to avoid that But then we have to pinpoint people who have come in contact with that person, or like it's happening with doctor. He's seen a lot of patient, and ultimately we realize that for the last 10 days he has seen so many people and interacted with so many people. So how many people are there? We have to put them on quarantine. That protocol has to be followed in case somebody. But we assume that everybody may not be healthy, so we have to take precaution and use PPE, the personal protection equipment, so that even if somebody was showing signs, but then we have taken enough care that he was not able to spread disease in case he was not well, he or she was not well. The guidelines, FSSAI has short guidelines for social distancing, for hand washing, grocery shopping, for maintaining food safety in the businesses, cooking practices at home, how to refrigerate. These in case you require details, you can contact Madhavanji, me, or somebody, or FSST website also. It is all there. Now they have detailed guidelines on this. And then good staff practices. We need to develop this, that whatever staff is doing, it may not be handling even food. Then you have to use sanitizer, wash your hands, then cover your mouth. Almost every state has now made it mandatory to cover mouth, nose, and while coughing, sneezing, so that it doesn't go into the air also. People say that it's not airborne, but yes, if it is as the aerosol, it can go up to 3 meters also, because if once it mixes up with the air, then in case we are sneezing or we are throwing it open to the air, so we have to take care. Basically, we should assume that everybody may not be, it may be carrier, may not be well, and may be silent carrier of the disease. So on that premises, if we work, then we can do. And anybody is coming to me or handling somewhere food within the unit also, even if you know that the person is not showing any signs, working with me for so many days, still we have to take care that if there's somebody is making pizza and there are 2-3 staff working there with each other, they have to also maintain that kind of, that they are not handling that pizza barehanded, or they are using sanitized tongs or whatever, handling that. The person who's packing it, the person who's carrying it. So that underlying principle is we assume that person is maybe silent carrier. That is the ultimate. Then you have to, for retail, I mentioned that we go to the shops, we are finding this, that there is a sanitizer, we wash our hands, our credit card, or our even money, we are exchanging that. So that care has to be taken, and it's not for 1 month, 2 months, maybe it's go on minimum 1 year. So we have to make it way of our life. Physical distancing guidance during staggering workstations, like then using PPE, different kind of, depends on what kind of area you are doing. Organizing your staff in the working team, you can stagger their working hours. Government is also doing that. Some places they are calling some, avoiding some, so that there's no work also goes on. And food processing has been indirectly allowed by MHA order, but there is a still confusion, because I see on some people expressing their concern on Facebook or social media, that are these allowed? Yes, they are allowed, but then minimum protocol every food business operator has to follow, and then you have to inform take the permission from the DM and or the concerned authority, so that in case like in tea gardens, this was specifically allowed by MHA, but in Assam not even 25% of tea gardens were working, because the concerned district authority didn't allow them, and most of the places, even the laborers, they left the places. So there was a lot of confusion. And now, when a protocol is being followed, they are allowed to stay. They are not allowed to mix outside and maintaining the social distance. Then these kind of food processing units will have to be allowed. Farming activities have to be allowed, even marketing. Like we have new marketing tools now, eNAM, where on WhatsApp we put the photo, the grading, the everything, and then sale can be made, and eNAM software is there. That has to be used. We have to learn to use different technologies, different methods. That is the need of the hour now. Then I've already mentioned how to handle fresh fruit and vegetable, thoroughly rinse it, and there should not be unnecessarily concern and panic also. We should not confuse people with lot of things. So simple things should be kept simple, and life should be simple. Actually, infection, yes, it can be carried by anything, but then we have to take enough precaution, follow the protocol. Doctors, they are following the protocols also, who are handling these patients in hospital, still they are getting it. So you never know when we make the mistake and we get it. But then our job is to maintain the proper protocol, not make it complicated. So I've given some sanitizers, hand sanitizers, and now FSSAI has said that it should be 70% alcohol. WHO has said 60% disinfectant. There are hydrogen peroxide. There are a number of them. Sodium hypochlorite sprays are being done. But government is also doing spray. Soaps are the detergents. They are ultimately very found to be very effective. So there is no issue about that. Then I'm just going through these. Must have seen these all slides, but ultimately, you know, what will save us the day is food. Eat healthy, balanced food. Balanced food is ultimate. You may think I'm eating very healthy food. So fruits, vegetable, WHO guideline says at least 400 to 500 grams food you should be eating daily. And whole grains, proteins are very essential. So we have to maintain. We need to, you know, there may be 40-50% people, more than that, they must have got viruses, but then they have not been detected. They were the silent carrier, and their antibodies, their immune system started working in the body, and the virus went away. And that happens with most of the viruses sometimes. So what we have to do is follow a healthy lifestyle where we do exercise, even meditation. Our Indian system is so rich with even things like yoga and otherwise foods also. We are very rich in that traditional food. We can follow those kind of guidelines. We balanced diet diversity is very essential. Food for healthy gut, like you have probiotics or dahi or that kind of thing. So that ultimately, if your gut is okay, your gut is fit, everything, because immune system is strong if your gut is strong. Then there are some immune boosting nutrients, vitamins, bit of C and D. I'll advocate that all the vitamins are equally important. Minerals also, zinc, iron, and magnesium, selenium, and then you get, if you have a diversity in food, you get all these kind of vitamins. And there are non-nutrient immune booster. I said that our system is so we eat healthy, and there's other things where we get tomatoes or ginger, or even the best thing is sometimes people ask how do you boost your immune system? water is the best. Pure, clean water, drinking a lot of that will keep you very healthy. Then Ayurveda has come out with our Ayush ministry with remedies, Chyawanprash, herbal tea, decoction, which is kada, golden milk, which is turmeric milk, basically. So we have to take care of ourselves and take different things so that our immune system is fit. If we are good, we are able to eat good, our body will fight. We don't have to do anything much. And then this is Ayush Ministry's guidelines. I'm not going through these details, but ultimately, what will it is together only will stay safe. We have to see the safe. It's not in isolation. We have to see the safety of everybody. If my people who are in my vicinity, in my colony, or my servants or others nearby who's staying, if they are safe, I also stay safe. So we have to take care of everybody who's there in your vicinity, in your state, in your nation. So as a nation, we are a strong nation, and Prime Minister has already come twice, thrice, and everybody is appreciating the efforts which is being taken by India. Hope we are able to carry on this good work, which is till this time so far is really good, so good. So hope this good work continues and we are able to fight this good, and at the same time able to maintain some economic activity so that food security, nutritional security, everything is also ensured. Thank you very much, Madhavanji. Thanks a lot. And
Thank you very much, sir. I think everybody has learned a lot of things, though you have covered, I mean, a whole spectrum of food business at large. I think still people have some few questions to ask. I was given some indication. So anybody would like to pose some question? I think Mr. Kamal Kumar has already texted one of his apprehensions that given only that something like 25 to 30% of employees are able to work in the industries, there is an apprehension of sustaining quality, and how do they meet the requirement of the production requirement. Of course, what I have to tell that this is a peculiar situation prevailing today. I mean, during this peculiar situation, there is even if something like 50% or 30% of the productivity or production as such can be achieved, that has to be treated as an achievement, because totally there is a standstill world over, not only in our country. But of course, you have to maintain the quality, the minimum level of quality, because you cannot I mean, take the risk of putting an unsafe food to the society, to the community. That precaution one has to take. Anybody has to ask any specific question to Dr. Gundrakta or to anybody else? He or she can just text the question here, because we will be confining our discussion only to food safety, because we may not be able to cover other areas. Anybody? Hello.
Yeah, in fact, I just wanted to add that we were talking about the food processing and the delivery. Yeah. I just noticed one news item that 72 families in South Delhi have been quarantined after a pizza boy was found COVID-19 positive. And of course, those who were working with the boy have also been quarantined. So this is the kind of the risk we are having right now. And I mean, just going to the question which you had earlier, Mr. Kamal Kumar had raised. See, one can understand the dilemma. I mean, if you have a limited manpower, now you have, and if you, heighten the sanitary considerations, then obviously the the production is going to suffer. So, I mean, you have to then see the balance of convenience. Now, in case we maximize the production and lower the sanitary considerations, then if something happens, perhaps we are going to lose much more than what we have gained by way of increasing the production. So I think that we leave it to the good judgment of the producer that, where to draw the line, and without, compromising the safety, how much can be produced. So that was, my opinion in this.
Sir, there is a specific question on, is there any revised guidelines in meat category, as various myths are going on in the market? But sir, would you like to answer, sir? Gangadhar sir?
Actually, if you see, there is still confusion, and even if you see the FDA guidelines, there is still some confusion on meat actually. But they till this time they are maintaining that meat, poultry, everything is safe, and they are not the carrier. But if you see their guidelines, they have issued some specific guidelines how to handle meat. So they are taking extra precaution for meat. So there are some apprehension in the mind of the even FDA. Meat can react differently. But otherwise, as on today, there is no proof available that it can pass on through infected person. But then, like I mentioned, that ultimately, if we ingest virus, it may not be so harmful to us. But if it goes to the throat, nose, to the respiratory system, then it is dangerous. Actually, the actual disease is there. If you see the protocol these days, what they have done, they have in fact deliberately infected certain people to develop the vaccine for this. So they have injected the virus in the body of certain people, the volunteers, and they are keeping watch on them, how they are behaving. So because it's not dangerous if it is goes to the body as such, other than the throat, then but that triggers the manufacturing of antibodies. So they are seeing how it is being manufactured and what kind of antibodies are working on it. So to study that, so in that case also, in case meat, the animal is because this is an animal virus, in fact, started from the animal, came to human beings. Now they think that it doesn't go back to, there was a news item also that it went to the lion or some tiger somewhere in USA. It was infected with that. That is also not confirmed. But what I am saying, still, if it is cooked, there are some apprehension, but more or less till today it is considered safe.
Mrs. Samira Adwani has asked that what is the guidelines for receiving and preparing meats? Does cooking kill the virus? Of course, I think that question has already been answered, because there is no proof that
cooking kills the virus. Yes, cooking kills the virus.
Yeah,
that is
kills it. Even if it is there, even if it is there.
There are certain bacteria only which can make the cyst, which survive the cooking, the mild cooking, so to say. So if we most of us may be from the scientific field, we all know that even microbes, whether it's fungus or it's bacteria, they also can't, most of it can't survive cooking. So viruses are much more, they are basically proteins covered by fat. So they are more susceptible to heat.
I would just like to share my view on this. See, with regard to meat, the guidelines or the procedures are in any case very rigorous. Unlike the, let us say, vegetarian food, even without this threat of virus, the procedure followed for handling the meat is much more rigorous. So one is not expected to touch raw meat and then touch anything else, let us say our nose or eyes or anything like that. So the chances of, even if there is a virus existent in the meat, one is not expected to touch it and then touch any part of our body. So this, once that protocol is followed, which means that after handling the meat, all the hands and the area where it has been kept or processed has been sanitized, the chances of any virus, even if it was there, going to somewhere else or cross contamination does not arise. And after that, when it is cooked, as Dr. Gupta has said, the question of the virus surviving, I mean, that won't be there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That is really good. Mr. Anjaneyulu has asked, how about the industrial catering companies work on client sites and kitchens? How they can ensure the person entering into companies are free from this virus, since it's symptomatic for a few days?
No, like we mentioned, people may be symptomatic. There may not be any symptoms, but the protocol, in case it is your employee who's entering your company, then you know the previous background of the person. He is free. And secondly, I said that you have to work on the assumption that this fellow can be carrier. So all protocol, the personal protective equipment has to be followed when you are cooking food, you are handling food or doing something there in the kitchen. That is one thing. Second, if you are talking about customers, that distance has to be maintained, the social distancing within our staff also we have to maintain that social distancing. But with the customer, because he is coming from unknown area, unknown place, even your delivery boys, you have to treat them then differently, keep the distance, use the disinfectant wherever you are touching each other or their hands, or they are using the mm, table, chair, or whatever. There are certain places you are opening doors or closing, handling something else with hand. So these things, even your tap. So these care has to be taken wherever such interactions are happening. Like I mentioned, that you have to make your own questionnaire and then based on that make your own plan how it will work. We know that we have to disinfect. Then how do you go about that? That precaution has to be taken, and this should continue. This should start. The restaurants should start producing food. If they are not handling people at their premises, at least delivery is also happening today. But then they have to take more care, because they have potential to infect so many of people who are their clients, whosoever are their clients. So they have to take extra precaution and care that their staff is also segregated and not infected. And then in case suppose somebody is infected and he's following the protocol, he's not able to uh, pass on the virus easily.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Pooja Vartia has asked, how about the consumption of packed food?
There is no problem in packed food because mostly packed food has gone through the processing, and in processing virus, in case in raw material had it has been already destroyed. Then the issue comes of packaging. What we are assuming that packaging has been taken care of. The outer packaging, yes, sometime when you buy from market, outer package may have something somebody is handling maybe in the transit. So take extra care where you can, if you can, it's a hard surface, you can wash it. In case you can't wash, at least clean it. Like I mentioned that vegetables, you clean it with rinse with water, running water, so that in case there is something on top of it, it goes away. So that precaution has to be taken when you buy things, bring it to home. must have seen people, they are following that you keep it separately, then allow it to for few time, maybe a day or two, or clean it differently. That surface where you keep it, you segregate it, and then you then transfer to one by one to safe place with after cleaning it. That protocol has to be followed, which we were not doing normally. So these are like God Sahib mentioned, these are abnormal situations. So we have to look for little harder lifestyle and harder actions. So we have to do that. Little cumbersome, yes.
And as an additional precaution, sir, I think we can suggest heating. I mean, before consuming any packaged food, we can preferably heat it, either a microwave oven or even otherwise. So, any new, Pulkit Arora has asked that any new guidelines for food handlers, medical test.
No, actually, in case you see that, testing has become very cumbersome and expensive, and we are not able to test everybody. So that there is a limitation to the testing. So in fact, in some of the places, what they are doing, in case they feel that people have to be put on quarantine and they are suspect in have met some person who was already infected. So what they are doing, they're doing test of 10 people together. They take the swab of 10 people and then put it at it's a one test. In case it comes positive, then all these 10 people are then tested separately. But if 10 people that swab comes okay, there is a lot of differences in testing also. The testing from where to take the swab is taken basically from the throat, and then sometime they may come or may not come. So these issues will continue. But ultimately, like I mentioned, 50, 60, 70% people will get this virus and will get cured. Maybe they don't know even that they got this virus because their body has already started working against them. Antibodies have been produced, their immune system is strong. Sometimes they'll not show even no symptoms also.
Yeah, that is
the problem with the medical testing is again the same, that if somebody in the group is asymptomatic, then the medical test also will not help. So social distancing and the workplace protocol has to be followed rigorously.
Yeah, that only can help in such a contingency. Yes, sir. Mr. Ramana Sundaram, who is from UK, and he happens to be a classmate of Dr. Ganglataji. He has asked that which is from the whole supply chain, which is having the highest risk. The whole supply chain from farm to fork, the point of highest risk, whether we can.
Sorry, I didn't get your question. Cold?
No, sir. He wants to ask a question which is from the whole, within the whole supply chain from farm to fork, which is the point of highest risk?
Highest risk?
Yeah.
Ramana, it is nice knowing about you. This is probably first time after I left CFTRI. So we are able to, maybe I'll take your number from Madhvanji. Nice knowing about you that you are in UK. Today what we are facing the problem most is in India, I'm telling you, the most important point and vital point for in the food chain is becoming our marketing sheds, where if you see whether Delhi, Bombay or elsewhere, a lot of people come, they don't follow the protocol, and in fact government is taking all precautions, but the crowd is so much, people are eager to bring their produce to the market, even if they want to keep maintain that protocol is not possible. So that is one area where we really don't know who is following or who's not following, where the that is the mandis basically. So we have to take extra care on mandi. That's why I mentioned that we use eNAM. eNAM is a very good protocol, our app, where anybody, buyer goes to eNAM and on the net and website and can buy, and seller also do. Lot of food food producers organizations, FPOs in India, have gone to that mode already, and lot of buyers also buy. So if we are able to spread that more, because there is an issue of quality only, so quality can be taken care of in case we I had this suggested a method this morning, that we should have all cold store, all warehouses, all such places, they should be considered as market from the definition of APMC, and then allowed to grade, and so that there is some kind of authenticity. That is my personal view.
If I may add there, I think among the stages in any, let's say, from farm to fork, the delivery point, the delivery from, let us say, from the food processing unit to the consumer, probably, I mean, apart from the consumer himself or herself, the delivery is the most vulnerable point. The reason is that if there is any contamination or the virus deposit on any of the packaging or anything like that, and something which has been prepared, because not immediately, say, fresh food, let us say any packaged biscuits or any even packaged vegetables, etc., which are coming, if it is, let's say, more than 48 hours earlier it has been packed, the chances are that by the time it reaches consumer, that virus would have been inactive. But the delivery boy or the delivery person who brings it from the point of distribution to the consumer, in that transit, the chances of exposure, that becomes more, say, I think that needs to be tackled more vigorously.
Yes, sir. I think that's all. I think specific questions are only that much only. I'm unmuting all. So if anybody wants to, hello everybody. I think, sir, we can wind up, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I thank you, everybody. I thank each and everybody for being a part of this small webinar. And on behalf of the Center for Quality and Food Safety, which is a non-profit organization in Delhi, we are for the sustainability of food safety in the country. We are the environment. So I hope that we can conduct several webinars and other programs in the future. I need cooperation from each and everybody like you.